Hello, my name is Shirley de Bourne. I work here at the Penrith Regional Gallery and the Lewis Bequest. I work here as the collection manager and I am the curator of this show titled Young Moderns. The importance of the show is that it showcases 10 young modern artists who are working with the theme of abstraction. And it's like a continuation of artists considering some of those core themes of abstraction that fascinated the Sydney moderns from the 1940s to the 70s, which is being showcased in the main gallery. So some of those concepts are things like focus on line, on colour, on composition, and how all these elements can push a particular visual language in a way that challenges what went beforehand. So on that note, perhaps we could go and have a look at some of the works of the young moderns. We're going to start here with the work of Kate Tucker, and this is a series called Tablet Series. And we're starting with Kate because it's a very interesting correlation with Margot Lewis. Kate speaks passionately about her intuitive process. And that was very important to Margot, that sense of making a mark and seeing where that mark took you. And with Kate, she is also doing that in a way of trying to play between the conscious decision making and the intuitive process. Another interesting thing to consider with Kate Tucker's works is that she's titled them as the Tablet Series. And this is interesting if we think about the tablet as a modern form of communication, but also an ancient one, as in the stone tablet and, for example, the Ten Commandments. So it's an interesting way to think about how we have evolved over the time with different medias and different forms of communication. But Kate works with her series to sort of tease out these internal ideas of hers. But we've got another artist here, Helen Shelley, who also works in series. These two pieces are from a series from Helen Shelley, and they're titled Death Proof. And these two works were made when her father was dying. And he spoke of seeing beautiful visions, beautiful moving, colourful lights as he settled down to rest for the evening to go to sleep. An interesting way of thinking of these works is in their geometric approach to abstraction. But what is of interest is the way that they actually radiate outside of their own block. The patterns extend out from the sides. So there's a suggestion that the pattern can go on and on and on, which is a beautiful kind of thought in terms of remembering a loved one. This work here is also by Helen Shelley, and it was made after her father's death. And if we look at the overall shape and form of the artwork, it does have that ritualistic feel about it. You can kind of imagine it in a church building. It's got the cathedral kind of stained glass feel about it, with all that contemporary modern glitter in its place. It very much uses the abstract form and geometric shaping to create an energy on the surface. So here we have three works from Mason Kimber called Passage Grid, Facade Flow and Pathway Patina. Each of these work reference an architectural form, but very much still play with the surface of a painting. In Passage Grid, for example, there's a reference to the gridding up of an abstract form and used as a backdrop to give us scale. In Pathway Patina, Mason Kimber also explores the use of found materials. But what's beautiful here is the way that he's created such beautiful depth with the richness of colour across the entire surface. He uses elegant, fine lines to suggest form and space, which speaks beautifully to the works of Cale Stace. Here we have two pieces from Cale Stace, and this one here is called Lead Line, and this one is from A to C. They're both minimalist interventions in the space, but they very much rely on the engagement of the viewer to complete the work. What's really of interest to me about this show is the fact that these young emerging artists are working with issues that were of interest to the Sydney moderns back from the 40s to the 70s, and yet here they are today, still being challenged and compelled to investigate all these different forms of abstraction.